How you doing, everyone? Hope you're all keeping well, and welcome to this episode of 8 Bits in the Basement. So today what I want to show you is a little technique that I learned to make up male connectors that you may not have if you need to make cables. And what I'm doing today is I'm going to make a composite video cable, both image and sound, for my Commodore 64. And the reason is, at the moment, all I have on the Commodore 64 is an RF connection to the television. And what I really want is I want to be able to connect it up to my video capture card on my computer to capture any images on screen. So, the back of the Commodore 64, the video port, is female and it looks like this. Now, I don't have a male connector that'll go to that. I do, however, have the RCA cables to make up all the rest of the connector. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little technique that I saw on a channel called Dubious Engineering, which is run by a really nice guy named Howard. And what he was doing was he was building a portable Amiga 600. So what he had was an Amiga 600 motherboard, a battery pack and a screen, all built into a kind of a wooden briefcase. But as he was building it, he didn't have the cable that would go from the battery pack to the Amiga 600. So he used this technique to connect his batteries to the A600 motherboard. Now, I have to stress that this technique is fine if you're making cables for sound and video between a computer and a TV, or a computer and another computer, for example. But don't, whatever you do, use it for mains electricity or anything like that, because it's just not safe for it. With that being said, what we'll do is we'll pop in around back here into my new little soldering area, and I'll show you how we make up this cable. Okay, so this technique isn't really for the squeamish, and I'll show you why. This is what we're going to end up with as a connector. What it is it's basically some solid core wire that's after being soldered on to the cables or the wires inside in this piece of cable here, and then it's all held together with hot glue. I'm going to use this RCA cable that I have here with one end snipped off in order to make my Commodore 64 composite cable. I'm going to use one of the RCA plugs here for video and the other one for sound. So on the other end of the cable here that's been cut off, what we're going to do is we're going to strip back the wire on it, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a male plug with only 3 pins on it, because it's all I need. I just need 1 pin for sound, 1 pin for video, and 1 pin that'll be the common ground for both of those. And in order to do that, the only parts I need, in fact, are a little piece of solid core copper wire, a little piece of insulating tape, and a glue gun. And also you're going to need a soldering iron and solder. But that's pretty much all you need to make up this simple type of cable. And what we do is we take our solid core copper wire, we strip it back. You can cut it to 1.5 millimeter, 1.5 centimeter lengths using a scissors or a snips or whatever you wish. And what you'll end up with are a number of pieces like this. Okay, so while my soldering iron has been heating up, I'm after stripping back these 2 wires here. Now, the white one I'm going to use for audio, and the red one I'm going to use for sound. So the other wires here coming out are going to be joined together because they are going to be our earth, or our common ground. So now I've got my 3 wires that need to be joined onto 3 pins, and then we can make up our cable. So first off, what I want to do is I want to take each of the pins I'm going to use, and I paid a little bit of attention just to give the pins a rub with a little sandpaper in order to take the burr off one end so it wouldn't be sharp after being cut when being inserted into the female plug on the back of the computer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently rub these pins with a little sandpaper, just in order to key them a little bit so that they'll take the solder a little bit better. Now I'll put a little bit of flux And also I'll put a little flux on these. I want to take a pin and I want to wrap the wire around it. Somewhere like that. Like that, more or less. There we are. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to solder that just to hold everything in place. There we go, nice big blob of solder to keep all that together. Now, so when you finish soldering all the wires to the pins, you're left with something that looks a little bit like this. So we've got those there. So the next step is to take our Commodore 64 and to plug these into the back of it. This here is the connector that it's going to connect into. And we have our ground here going into this pin. We have our video going into this pin. And we have our audio going into this pin here. So what we want to do is we want to cover this female connector with electrical tape and make a hole for the placement of each pin. And it's important to do it properly because the last thing you want is hot glue dripping down into the holes there on that connector. Now, so once you've got the tape in place, push the pins into their places. And what we want to be careful of is we want to shove them down good and far in, but we want to be careful that there's no shorts being made, that they're not touching each other, you know. That's something you want to be careful of. And now I'm going to fill it full of hot glue. Now, there we go. Okay, we'll say that's that at that. And I'm just going to leave that for a good 20 minutes or so to dry. Now, okay, so we're after leaving that for about a quarter of an hour, so it should be pretty dry now at this stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it, if I can. It's not stuck to it. Okay, we'll peel back the tape a little bit. And we will take the whole thing out. So if I peel back this tape then, I'll do it kind of carefully, just so we see what way this is. Now, peel this back. Okay. There we go. Once you've removed your connector and you're happy enough with it, give it a little clean up with the scissors. Now, so that's pretty much that. It seems to be fairly solid. It seems to be fairly together. You could always, if you wanted to, strengthen it even further by wrapping some tape around here and making a kind of a cone and filling that full again, you know, or just putting a little more around. But I think what we'll do is we'll take it out to the Commodore once more. We'll plug it in and we'll see that it does indeed still work. So I'm after setting up my Commodore 64 here again. The only thing I'm missing is a cable going from the C64 to the TV. So we'll plug in this new one that we made there now. So the two RCA ends, we're going to plug the red one into video and we're going to plug the white one into audio. And now I'll turn the TV around so that you can see what's going on. The other end here, the one we made up, is going to be plugged into the video port on the back of the C64 here, and it'll just slip in like that, nice and easy. And now when I turn on, we should get a picture on the screen. And there we go, we've got a nice crisp picture on screen, although we do have jail bars on it. But that, I believe, is a known problem with the Commodore 64, and there are mods we can do and stuff to fix that up. But I'm satisfied enough that I can use this to do capture, screen capture on my PC for when I'm making videos or whatever. So the thing that we haven't checked out yet though is sound, because there's also sound supplied by this cable here. So the way I'm going to test sound is with my Kung Fu flash card, and I've programmed up Tooth Invaders on this cartridge, and I'll plug this in and we will use that to see if there's sound or not. Okay, so we press fire. And there is definitely sound coming out of that. So I'm satisfied that that cable is working great. This little game was actually quite good, I remember. You're the little man there and you have to clean this guy's teeth, and when you press the fire button it makes you small so you can see the plaque on his teeth and stuff, and you use the floss and the toothpaste and all that. But there you go, that's that game. So as you can see, this technique is actually quite good if you're missing a connector and you want to make up a cable just to see if something's working or not, or just to get you out of a bind. Like I say, it's not maybe ideal for a permanent thing, although I have used it in some cases permanently. Like I made up this little paddle thingy for my Coco computer, and I didn't have the right type of cable or right type of connector on the end, so I used that technique to make one, and that's a good long time now that that's on the go, and it hasn't given me any hassle. And the same thing for the Coco also. I made up a drive wire cable using exactly the same technique, and again it hasn't given me any hassle. But like I say, if you are making this type of thing, or if you want to use this technique, stick with low voltages. We're talking about 5 volts, 12 volts from computer to computer, or TV signals or whatever like that. Do not, under any circumstances, use it to make something that'll plug into the mains, because it's just not the thing to do. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, give us now a thumbs up. If you have anything to tell me, or if you have any suggestions or anything, leave a comment down below. If you haven't done so already, think about subscribing. There's plenty more videos on the way, plenty more stuff that computers and stuff that I'll be trying to get working or upgrading or doing some kind of bits and pieces with. And if you're into that kind of thing, you may find it interesting. So with all that being said, until the next time, take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Bye bye.